the hottest one, and he just loaded it up.
That's a good sign.
It's crazy. I've seen people hang alligators.
What?
I'm a pink butcher guy.
This sucks.
But you don't want to be too offensive either.
That is wild.
We're batting 1,000 right now.
We'll see, and everyone else will see. You're listening to The Hot Sauce Show, the place to meet hot sauce makers and enthusiasts. Let's jump right in. Hey everyone, welcome to The Hot Sauce Show. My name is Zach. I'm your host. Today we have Zach from Blood, Smoke, and the Beers BBQ. Zach, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So let's get right into it. What's the name mean? Where's it come from? And how'd you get started?
Oh yeah, so Blood, Smoke, and Beers is a play on words. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yep.
Came up with it a couple years ago. I was looking for a new name, rebrand myself. Funny story is I've been doing this for 3 to 5 years, but I was posting a lot on my personal Instagram page, and my wife is a vegetarian.
What?
Yes, and she stopped following me because I was posting too much meat.
Too many meat pics?
Yeah, too many meat pics.
Oh my gosh.
In 2020, I think I created Blood, Smoke, and Beers and kind of rebranded myself as a cooking podcast or cooking Instagram, social media.
Oh my gosh. And for our viewers that aren't familiar with your show on Instagram and what you do, it's barbecue focused with grilling, smoking, everything in between. Is that right?
Barbecue, grilling, drinking, catering, competition barbecue, a little bit of everything.
And I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. So your wife was like, yeah, I'm out, and just unfollowed.
Yeah, she just unfollowed me. Yeah.
That's so funny.
She follows me now.
Okay.
And she promotes me, but she's kind of gotten used to it.
Was she a vegetarian before you met?
She was, yeah. So she told me it's my fault because my hobby came after. She's always, she's been a vegetarian since she was
I haven't
10.
changed. You changed.
And she's actually, a pescatarian. So she will eat fish. So.
Okay. So is that in your barbecue lineup sometimes?
Yeah, we do a lot of fish.
That's awesome.
It's actually not as hard as a lot of people think. A lot of people ask me questions about how do you cook for her and all this stuff, but it's not bad. I'll cook a meal. I'll cook the meat on the side, mix it together. So
that's awesome.
We make it work.
So what came first, the barbecuing or the beer? Like, how did you kind of blend all this? Because obviously they're a winning combination.
Yeah, exactly. I've always enjoyed cooking. Ever since I was little, I enjoyed cooking. Maybe in college, I stopped cooking as much. It kind of fell off a little bit. But I lived in Chicago for a couple years, and I really got into craft beer. And I started brewing beer on my countertop in our little 900 square foot condo.
Nice.
And small batches. It was like 1 gallon batches. You got like 6 or 8 bottles. It was a pain in the butt for the amount of beer that you got.
I had a buddy that used to do a lot of brewing. I think he still does. But the biggest thing is making sure it's all super sterile, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have one little taint in it, it just throws the whole batch, right?
Yeah, sanitizing everything. And then as my brewing progressed, I realized that like temperature has a lot to do with it as well. So brewing beer on your countertop in Chicago, either in the summer or the winter, changes the flavor. And it definitely wasn't as good as once I temperature controlled everything. But, starting brewing beer and really getting into the craft brewery scene in Chicago was insane back then. A lot of the new breweries opening weekly. And as I started doing that, food didn't taste as good.
What do you mean by that?
It just tasted bland.
Your palate got more sophisticated with the beers.
Yeah, absolutely. I was starting to I remember the first time I tried an IPA. Do you remember the first time you tried an IPA?
Yes.
Was it horrible?
Yes.
Yes. And now it's like, now you want more, right? You can't get enough hops. And it's kind of the same thing with food, You just want more. You're looking for that next level. We'll get into the hot sauces and stuff too, because that's where that comes into play with starting to elevate your food profile game. So, yeah, from the beer, it went into cigars and whiskey and scotch and wine, and being able to pick out the individual notes and
how you can blend them all together and make it work.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, it's everything goes hand in hand.
Very cool. And then so you started doing that, and then you moved into getting more into barbecue. And is that because the beer Instagram and wherever you're doing your videos, did you find it kind of saturated with beer, or there's more interesting paths to go down with the barbecue and smoking and grilling? How did you make that transition?
I started cooking and started posting some pictures. That's when Instagram was just pictures.
Wayback Machine.
Yeah, exactly. And I really had fun. I really enjoyed it. I like trying new things. So that was kind of like the home barbecue aspect of it and just kind of posting some food. And then I actually went to an egg fest. I think it was in 2017. And
Here in Jacksonville? Or?
Yeah, it was the Pinch a Penny one down in St. Augustine.
Okay.
And there was a 14-year-old girl at the time, 13, 14-year-old girl, Riley Wright. She was cooking competition steaks. And I tried a bite of her ribeye, and it was the best ribeye I've ever tried in my life. I'm from Iowa. I know what a good steak tastes like. It was the best. So I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. And so that's kind of where I got into the competition side of it, which that's a completely different animal from cooking in your backyard. But you're also layering on those flavors there as well. So.
Right. Yeah, because I know, and we could have a whole podcast series about the competition stuff, but a big thing with the competition is like you need to create as much flavor in like a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch piece that's possible. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say one bite.
One bite, because the judges are just taking one bite, and that's it, right? Out of your competition steak.
Yeah, correct. One bite.
So it's got to be just flavor punched. Not to mention cooked right. It's got to be the right temperature, right?
Yeah.
They have specific temperatures.
Correct.
You got this is SCA stuff.
Yeah, that was SCA. So
okay.
Yeah, they're looking for a perfect medium on doneness, but you don't want to be too offensive either.
What do you mean by that?
Let's say you're packing it full of flavor, and I really enjoy rosemary on my steaks. You don't want to just you don't want to hit them with one offensive flavor.
Right.
You'll find that one judge that doesn't like rosemary.
And because if you have one judge that you miss on, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah, you can be overall.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of salt on my food, probably more than most. So you don't want to be offensive with the salt, right?
Right.
So you
got to get it right.
It's balance.
Yeah. Yeah. So the competitions and getting into that kind of transitioned into what became your channel for doing the different barbecue cooking and experimenting. Yeah,
I'd say it started at home, doing home backyard stuff.
Yeah.
And, that the whole king of the cul-de-sac mentality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that. Yeah.
And then from there, it kind of went into competition. But like you said, that's a whole beast of its own. So I really enjoy the more rugged backyard stuff.
The backyard trim.
Trying different things. Cooking over an open fire and
I know we're going to get into that a little bit later. I'm looking forward to hearing that. And then you have some hot sauces that we don't have here today, but some hot sauces that you're working on, which I know you're super excited about. How did you get into that?
I started playing around with barbecue sauces, and I had a daddle pepper bush in my backyard. It had like 1,000 peppers on it the first year, and I didn't know what to do with them. So I just started dehydrating them, started incorporating them in my sauces, and then from there I kind of moved into hot sauce. And actually, I bought one of your Delightfully Hot kits.
Oh, the hot sauce making kit.
Yeah,
nice.
I think it was when they first came out. I stumbled upon one at Pinch a Penny around Christmas time, and a friend and I did it. And then I started following some Facebook pages. There's a fermented hot sauce page and a couple different pages. And I just kind of been playing around. I started with the daddle peppers, and then I did like a green sauce that, I went to the store, every green pepper you can think of and put in there. So it's very mild, but it's just got lots of flavor. And I'm just playing around with it. It's completely fun.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know where it will go.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. One of the things I love about your videos, and I've talked about this on and on and on about the show here, is taking something that's, pretty well known, like baby back ribs or something like that, and then putting a whole new kind of twist on it where it's relatable. And then kind of for the show here, talking about spicier stuff. And I know you've sent me some of your creations before, but can you kind of get into that a little bit?
Yeah. It's just fun. Like, you just get tired of the same old barbecue ribs, right? So you just try new things. So I think this summer I did a chicken wing buffalo ribs. So it's basically chicken wing flavors on a rib. And
you're like, why hasn't anyone done this yet?
Exactly. And
so how does that? So you cook the ribs? Are you like smoking them or half smoking? How do you do that?
I cooked them exactly the same way I would normal rib, but instead of using barbecue sauce or a vinegar sauce at that point, I just used some buffalo wing sauce, and They're so good. It's just it's different.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you also do a Cuban sandwich. Tell me about that.
That just goes back to trying new things and putting my own twist on it. You know, Cuban sandwich. You got the pork, you got the turkey or the ham, and instead of using Swiss cheese, we're in the South, so use some pimento cheese, some spicy pickles. Just make it unique, make it your own. You know, it's still a Cuban sandwich.
Yeah, exactly.
Why has it got to be traditionally Cuban? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just fun. I just like trying new things, and I think that goes back to the palate changing, just wanting to see what you can create with different flavors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. All this talk of food has gotten me hungry for hot sauce. And we actually have some chili beers today, which is crazy awesome. So I'm really looking forward to getting into these. The first sauce we have today is from our friends at Rocky's Hot Sauce. This is their hot sauce with honey in it. And it's fantastic. One of my favorites. So if you want to grab a spoon here.
Yeah, let's give this
a shake. And
grab the orange one. Orange is my favorite
color.
color.
Oh, perfect. Oh, hold on. I'll save the other next orange for you. All right. So hold that out there. Get a little bit on here. And you got a nice little great consistency. Cheers.
What do we do? Do we cheers?
Yeah, we'll do a little.
Cheers. There you go.
There we go. Man, that's good. It's honey, a little bit of heat, great consistency. I love using this sauce as like a topper with like grilled chicken, and then you just come on the back side of it, and yeah,
that's got a really good consistency. It almost reminds me of like a hot honey. The consistency of it.
Yeah, it's like a hot honey, but then kind of leaning into the hot sauce side.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I've never tried that one. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's good. And what I like about it too, it's got a little bit of heat, but I mean, once you put it on something, like the heat pretty much go. I like heat, but once you put it on something, the heat kind of fades off, and it's kind of this really flavorful honey. Yeah,
that'd be good on ribs or chicken.
Has like a drizzle at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this
or pizza.
Yeah, yep. I've had it on pizza. I can vouch for that. All right, so what's the first one we have here? Tell us about this first beer.
Okay, so going back to Chicago, collecting beers, moving down here to Florida. So barrel-aged stouts you can collect for quite a while because they're high ABV. So here's one's a porter, one's a stout. We're gonna start with the Prairie Bomb. I got some tasting notes here. This is a 2015. So
2015.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
8 years old.
So
okay.
These stouts, when they're young, sometimes they're really boozy. Sometimes this one's got chili peppers in it. Sometimes it's a lot of chili. Over the time, everything will kind of meld together and mellow, so it kind of gets smooth. Or depending on how, going back to how well they sanitized, it could be really bad. So this is a total experiment here.
What's the chance here that this is skunked? Is that what you say with beer, like wine?
I think it's going to be. I think it'll be drinkable. It's a let me see here. It's a 12% Imperial Stout, aged on coffee, cocoa nibs, vanilla beans, and chili peppers. So
I like those things.
And they used toasted ancho chili.
Toasted ancho chili beer.
Yeah.
Zach is about to give me a 8-year-old beer here. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I heard a little hiss, so
is that good? Is that a good sign?
Yeah, we got some carbonation still.
Okay.
And
I know we got
a try.
Whiskey glasses here, but it'll work for. Now I am a beer drinker, but I'm not by any means a beer connoisseur. So you'll have to walk me through what we're drinking, what we're smelling.
Yeah, absolutely. And fun fact, it has ancho in it. I just learned that ancho is a dried poblano. Did you know that?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Did you know the other one, what Chipotle is?
I did know that.
Yeah.
A dehydrated jalapeno.
Yeah, and adobo.
And
adobo,
yeah. So.
All right, so do we need to smell it first?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a good smell. I think that will be an indicator if it's got any offs on it. But I don't smell any. I smell like sweet,
almost
coffee, caramel.
Yep.
Yeah,
almost getting like a almost like a, not in a bad way, but like almost a soy sauce kind of a.
With the big barrel-aged stouts, that is actually one of the tasting notes is a soy sauce.
A soy saucy.
That could be an off flavor.
Yeah.
So
I'm in
I don't
danger.
get a lot of soy sauce. But I do see, the little carbonation bubbles going up the side of the glass. So I think we're going to be, I think we're going to be in the clear here.
Now, do we move this around and look for legs or anything?
No,
or
not really. I mean, you can, but it's not like a wine or anything. So
Okay.
I think we're going to be in the clear here. I think this is going to be a really good aged beer.
All right. Cheers. Here we go.
Cheers.
Wow.
That's drinking really well.
That is good.
Very rich, dark fruits like raisins.
Yep. So it's doing stuff in the bottle, just hanging out.
Yeah. You got to try to control the temperature of them. They're in a dark closet. And
Now, are you buying them 8 years ago and just sitting on them? Or?
Yeah, I'm sitting on everything. I probably have too much, so.
This is good. We're doing this.
Yeah,
I'm helping you out.
You're helping me out a lot.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. This is good.
It's very good.
I mean, I don't think I could sit and drink a six pack of it, but you're not supposed to.
No, that's not what this is meant to do. I didn't, on the first sip, get any chilies, but on the second one I did at the very beginning. And as the beer warms up and it's in your glass, if you were to grip it, your flavors will start to change.
As it warms up?
Just as it warms up sitting here.
Wow. It's
really rich.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had anything like this before. This is really tasty.
It pair well with a good cut of red meat.
Yeah. Because it's like a wine, but obviously not. It's
Correct.
got that kind of that heavy.
Yeah, that's really good. That's drinking good. So we're batting 50% right now. Or actually, we're batting 100.
We're batting 100. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's good. Good sauce, good beer.
Yeah.
I like the direction we're headed here. So when you're doing your different barbecuing and cooking and things like that, are you ever thinking about pairing with beer or other drinks? Is that still kind of cross your mind, or is it really gone into, let me specifically think about this cut of meat and how it's going to taste and what you're doing?
It totally depends on what I'm doing. I see exactly what you're trying to ask. But I'm not 100% the type of person that has to have that drink pairing. I like red wine. I'll drink red wine with white fish. People kind of, hey, you're not supposed to do that, but it's what I like.
Yeah.
So, but I do get what you're saying. I do like to pair some drinks. Usually it's more like a cocktail.
Gotcha.
But there's some food you cook, like for instance, barbecue goes really good with cheap beer.
Really?
Just
the cheapest beer you can find.
Well, maybe not the cheapest you can find, but like a drinkable lager or something like that.
Gotcha. And just smooth and wash it down.
Yeah, but like I said, this would be really good with a red cut of meat, something like that, something rich that can off balance it.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this.
I wouldn't drink this with chicken wings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, that's really, really tasty. So you talked about your Cuban sandwich, kind of making it your own, your buffalo wing style ribs. What other spicy foods have you concocted that are of note?
I played around with a peanut butter and jelly chicken wing.
Tell me about that.
That was fun. I actually had it at a local restaurant here in town and started doing some research, trying to come up with the hardest part was the peanut butter sauce, trying to get peanut butter reduced down enough to actually make a good sauce.
So what are you cutting that with?
Orange juice, soy sauce,
Interesting.
Thinning it down. And you don't really get any of the orange juice, which is surprising.
Really?
And yeah. And once you get that to the consistency you want.
So you have like a peanut butter slurry kind of thing?
Yeah. And then the chicken wings, I like to hit with just like a salt, pepper, garlic, and then either grill them really hot so they get crispy or even fry them so they have that nice crispy outer skin. And then a light coat of the peanut butter. And the restaurant that we had them at, they did like a peach, it's more like a peach marmalade.
As the jelly.
As the jelly portion.
But you kind of think grape, right?
Well, yeah. When you think
PB&J.
when you think PB&J, yeah, you got to go grape. But I wanted to, it was good. It was a good wing, but I was missing the heat. When you have a wing, you want some heat, right? So I took some Scorpion hot sauce and mixed it with a strawberry jelly or strawberry preserves, and it was spicy. So when you took a bite, you get that crispy, salty wing with that sweet peanut butter, that hot, sweet peanut butter coating, and then you get that jelly, and you can't really taste the strawberries, but there's heat there, and there's some heat on the back end. And so it's kind of like this fun, well-balanced thing. And so I played around with it at home and actually took it to a couple competitions, and I have placed with it. So it's kind of one of those fun things when somebody's asking me like, hey, what are you going to cook?
Make something fun.
Yeah, an appetizer or a party or something.
Yeah.
I'll pull them out every well. I cooked for the Jacksonville Sharks offensive and defensive line.
Oh, nice.
This spring, I guess you could say. And I made some for those guys, and they were just blown away. But when you think peanut butter and jelly, you don't think chicken wings. So
yeah, you think, well, once again, going back to the kind of, in this scenario, taking two things that people know. Everyone knows peanut butter and jelly. Everyone knows chicken wings. And you think to yourself, I really like both of those things. And then you putting them together, and then the heat, that just adds a whole nother awesome element to it. How many times do you think you've made those?
Probably a dozen.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so what other ones do you have in your, without revealing too much on future episodes and shows and videos you do, any other things you're looking to try?
Man, I got a list going. Without consulting it, I don't really know at this time, but
yeah. But always thinking of something.
I'm always trying something else. Yeah, something
I love
new.
that. I love that. That's a good way to kind of push the envelope with that, and a tried and true technique of smoking or grilling or whatever, and then going into that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think maybe one that I'm looking forward to coming up is like some pork chunks and like a green salsa verde.
What's a pork chunk?
Just like pieces of pork.
Oh, okay.
Like a pork butt cut into chunks.
Oh, cool. All right.
I think it's maybe like a Cuban dish or something like that with the green sauce, or maybe it's more Mexican. I don't know, but I really, really love green sauces, so I think that kind of gives it a real mild chili flavor. Yeah.
That sounds great. You ready for the next one?
I am.
This is a little step up. This is Doc's Fusion Fuel. I specifically picked this one out for you today because this one is barbecuey and it's spicy and it's full of flavor. It's one of my favorites on barbecue, and I think it's enough talking about it. Let's try it. So
yeah, and I saw I'm gonna grab my orange one, and I saw the bottle when you sat down. I love the branding.
Yeah, awesome job with this.
That is great Scott.
Yeah, great Scott. It's hot.
Yes, I love that.
All right, here you go. Perfect. I'm gonna go neon. I never know if this is yellow or green, or I guess it's somewhere. Green. So it's green. Okay. Thank you. All right. Try a little bit of this.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Smoky, little tomato.
Yeah, very smoky. It does have that barbecue sauce feel.
Yeah.
The tomato or the ketchup.
Yep.
Garlic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a great all-purpose barbecue sauce. I love, like, first one is like leans into the hot honey, but it's more of a hot sauce. This is kind of leaning into a barbecue sauce, but it's more a hot sauce.
Yeah, and with hot sauces, they sometimes scare me. It says right on the bottle, "Great Scott, it's hot." But that is very well balanced. It's not hot. It's nothing like that will take your breath away. Where would you put that on the scale?
Well, on the everybody scale, I would say it's probably like a medium. For me, it's maybe mild to a medium, but yeah, I think it's a really solid medium. The thing that's tricky is everyone has kind of a different heat tolerance, heat level, so you almost need to know where the scale's coming from to be able to kind of normalize it correctly. So it's kind of I don't know if catch-22 is the right saying here, but when you're tasting hot sauce, yeah, you put it on a spoon, you eat it. It's going to taste hotter, obviously, than it is when you eat it on food. But when you eat it on food, you're using a lot more than just a sample spoon size here. So those two elements kind of counteract. But, one of my favorite ways to eat that is like in rice or vegetables or even like a baked potato. You just get kind of that sweet and savory, and just it all just, to me, comes together really nicely.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I'd even drizzle that on a pulled pork sandwich.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Heck yeah. Awesome. So this is a segment I've been excited to kind of chat more with you about. What are the trends in barbecuing and smoking that you've seen materializing recently or in the past year that have really come up? Is there anything exciting that's just like, wow, that's different?
Yeah, I think one thing you're seeing right now is live fire cooking taking off.
And what is that? Please explain.
It kind of goes back to the roots of where cooking started from, your ancestors over an open fire. But people are creating these pits and these setups with cages over top where they're using the heat to indirectly cook meat. And some of these guys out in Texas they're getting crazy with it. They're building these huge, they call them crosses, but they lean over the fire and they'll do whole hogs, whole steers. It's crazy. I've seen people hang alligators, fish, fruits, vegetables over flame. Yeah, and
they're like paleo diet and now hardcore.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I've dabbled in it. I don't have anything really set up at the house for it yet, but it's soon on my list
now,
to play with.
Is that similar, or is it part of the trend I've seen people putting, and maybe one of your videos had this, like steaks right on the coals? What is that?
Yeah, that's like caveman style.
Caveman style.
I think live fire is kind of a little different as
live
far
fire,
as...
Sorry to interrupt. The live fire is more, think of it as essentially a campfire flame, that kind of deal, and then meat's going on a grate, or meat's just hanging right over it.
Yeah, hanging over, or with coals, and maybe more like Argentina asado style, stuff like that.
Yeah, the asado grills.
Yeah. Okay. No, the caveman steaks, that's just a whole nother game.
Tell me, please explain that to me.
I don't know who the first one to do it. It was a caveman, probably. Caveman, okay. Yeah, but
and explain what that is for people watching, listening.
So once you get a really good bed of coals and they're red,
whitish,
and they're hot. I mean, they're hot.
And you want them flat.
Yeah, and flattened out, maybe smaller, even.
Okay. You
can take and cook a steak right on the coals.
How does that work? I mean, I know how it works, but does it get like charcoaly dusty?
It doesn't. Surprisingly, that the coal is so hot that it won't stick to the meat. So I've done it a couple of times as like a showpiece, at a party or a gathering or something, like, hey, watch this. Actually, I did it. I cooked with Fogo charcoal at Egg Fest, and that's how we did it.
Okay.
So normally what you do is you'll reverse sear it. So you'll get the meat up to like 100 degrees.
Right on the coals?
No,
just
like
in general.
In general.
So
okay. Your
on a
oven,
grill.
on the grill, on the off, indirect.
Indirect. Okay.
Slowly bring it up to 100 degrees, and then if it's a large roast or something, at that point you can cut it into steaks.
Okay.
Or if it's just your steak, at that point you'd have your coals ready to go, and
so the meat's at 100 degrees. You have your steak; it's 100 degrees, and then you have your coals.
Yeah.
And then you just
right on it.
Put it on there.
Yeah, maybe go. I mean, it's kind of trial and error, trial by fire. But
see what you did there.
Yeah, but 30 seconds, 45 seconds, give it a flip, and
what's it? Is it coming out like charred?
Yeah, it's got like a really good crust on it. You get a lot of flavor on it, and surprisingly, the ash it burns so clean, and the fire's so hot that it doesn't stick to it.
And I guess having clean charcoal to start helps with that.
Correct.
Yeah. That is wild.
But it's fun.
Is it, you feel like you can control it enough doing it right on there?
Yeah, you don't want to overdo it. I would always pull it off, hit the temperature. If you got to go back on, you can always go back on. But
about 30 seconds when they're white hot.
Yeah, 30 to 45 seconds. Give it a flip, pull it off, check temperature, try it again.
That sounds great. Yeah, because I have a big green egg, and I can get it up to around 700 degrees.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have to get the coals so high because it's, I think I have an XL.
Yeah.
That's like this, right? Ish. Yeah. you have to get the coals so high to get them close to the steak. So now I'm very intrigued where, I can just bring the steak to the coals.
Yeah, and I've seen, if you're talking Big Green Egg, I got a few of them. I think I own 4. No, I don't think. If my wife's watching, I think I own 4. I own 4, yeah. But like they're with their expander set. Have you ever seen that where you...
kind of like the different levels?
Yeah, with the different levels. You can actually turn that thing upside down. So you can put the rack on it. You turn it upside down, and now you're not going up in the dome. You're going down towards the coals.
That's a pro move.
So you could do it on that. Yeah.
Wow. So. I feel like I'm ready to go home and try some stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So a lot of different kinds of smokers. I kind of get the gist of the different smokers, but can you kind of like overview maybe briefly about the different types of smoker, but then also how that affects what you're cooking or why you would use one over the other? And and I know there's a bunch, but if like maybe the top 4 most popular.
Yeah, for sure. I got into this whole thing because of Big Green Egg. So I'll say it, Kamado style cooking. There's several out on the market. Your Primos and Kamado Joes and stuff like that. It's basically a ceramic cooker. They get really hot. They hold heat very well, and they're easy to control temperature on. That was kind of my first grill, and I still love cooking on it. I really enjoy it, and you can get some great outcomes with that.
Is there a limitation to that kind of style?
Maybe the size.
The size.
Yeah. The size, I would have to say, is probably one of the biggest limitations.
Which of all limitations to have, that's really not that big a deal. I mean, you just buy more of them, right?
Yeah, that's how you end up with 4.
That's awesome. And then what's the next kind?
I would say just a normal charcoal grill. So when I say normal charcoal grill, you got your Weber kettle, you got your PK grills. There's hundreds of different brands out on the market. With something like that, you can cook hot dogs, hamburgers. You can also do big meats indirect. So basically you push all the coal to one side and you put your meat on the other side. It's kind of fun. If I've always told everybody, if you can cook a pork butt on a Weber kettle,
you can do anything.
You can cook a pork butt on anything, because that's where it's actually, you're maintaining your temperature, you're maintaining your heat, you're adding coal, you're controlling your vents. So I love cooking on it. It's fun.
So
it's
was a
challenge.
When a pork butt on a traditional like Weber kind of style grill, do you hit it on you sear it first and then you pull it off the coal side, or do the whole thing indirect?
I do the whole thing indirect.
Whole thing indirect. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So then, so that's kind of a traditional grill. We've talked about the Kamado style, ceramic grills, and then there's offset, pellet.
I'd say offset and pellet are your next 2 biggest ones. Probably pellet. Pellet are really popular right now. I do not own one. I have cooked on them.
And the pellet, that's your fuel. Is that right?
Yeah.
The pellet's the fuel. Okay.
Correct. They're like little tiny, and they come in different wood flavors. They come in different, they actually make charcoal pellets now. It's your easy bake oven of barbecuing. You set it and forget it.
Shots fired.
No, I don't own one because I have too many grills.
Yeah. No, that's because a lot of it's kind of set it and forget it, right? You dial in like an oven on most of them.
Yeah, you set the temperature. A lot of them have probes. The new ones you can turn on from your phone. They're Wi-Fi controlled. They're nice. They have their purpose. Mm-hmm. Like with the Big Green Egg doing a brisket, I'll wake up in the middle of the night to check my temperature. And,
like a baby.
Yeah, I got controllers for it, so you don't have to as much anymore, but with the pellet grill, it's just set it and forget it.
So it's got like an auger that feeds it in there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's probably like an electric burner that burns them basically, or
yeah, I think it's like a little igniter that lights in a little bowl. Like I said, I don't own one,
like a giant vape grill.
Yeah, basically, I think that's what it is. Vaping pellets.
Vaping pellets.
Yeah, and then you have your like traditional offset smokers that are old propane tanks. They have smaller ones. We usually has a firebox on one end.
So with an offset, is the propane then? The propane is lighting the wood to get the smoke, or how does it get smoky?
Well, so they take and use old propane tanks. So you'll see 200.
Got it.
Yeah, you'll see like 250, 500, 1,000 gallon old propane tanks.
So propane's not the fuel.
They're not, no.
Gotcha.
So, but then there's a huge firebox on the end. That's where your heat source is. And then you'll have a traditional offset. It'll have a chimney at one end or a stack at one end. So basically the heat and the smoke go over the meat once and then they go out. Or I just got one. It's a reverse flow. So the chimney or the stack is right next to the firebox. So the fire's over here. The smoke and the heat go through the entire smoker, go up, and then go all the way across the meat before it goes out.
So how does it go back?
It's got a baffle in there. So between the meat, there's a baffle, and the heat can only come up on one side, and it can only go out on one side.
Comes up, goes over, smokes the meat, and then makes a U-turn.
Yeah, and I've really had fun with that one. It's traditional, old school barbecue. I would say it's the next step up from your live fire cooking. You're feeding mine. You feed a stick of wood every 45 minutes.
Is that hard to get the temperature right on those?
Once you know your smoker and you learn your smoker, then it's just, what wood source are you using, put on there, and the moisture content and everything like that. But currently, I've cooked quite a few things on mine. It's every 45 minutes you feed the beast a stick.
Huh.
But the flavor and the smoke ring and the bark you get is absolutely amazing. So
you're really selling that. So you think that's kind of the best for flavor?
Man, it's just the best for whatever you're looking for. Because I had a pork butt last Friday off of a Traeger.
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So it's just what you're looking for at that time.
Yeah. No, that's a great, and thank you for explaining all that. That's because I kind of know about them, but to have the kind of that detail is really, really nice. All right. What's our next beer here?
The next beer here, we are going to do a Chipotle Porter. This is a 2014.
We're getting older, folks. We're at 9 years.
What they say about the dust on the bottle? You see a little dust there? I think that's a country song, actually. This one's 6%. So this isn't your high ABV.
The first was a porter?
No, the first one was a Imperial Stout.
Imperial Stout. Okay, this is the porter.
This is a porter. Okay. So this one's not going to have all that alcohol in there to kill anything if something does happen. But this is a very special and complex dark ale brewed with American hops and malt and made particularly unique by the addition of warming chilies and hints of vanilla. So
okay, there's dust on the top.
There is a little dust.
There's a gun on the label. It's Chipotle. It's 9 years old.
It is.
He's telling me there's less alcohol in it, so there's more chance for bad stuff to happen in there. So I'm looking forward to it.
See if we can get that hiss.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good sign. Great sign.
Let me get rid of the rest of this.
I'm actually going to do a little.
Oh, that's the real pro move.
And actually, I'm not even going to waste it.
A lot of fizz. That's good, right?
This one's got a lot of carbonation.
Is that good?
Yeah. For a 9-year-old beer. I think that's pretty good.
What'd you do this morning? Well,
had a few beers.
It smells.
Yeah, lots of nice caramel colored head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It smells more like your typical ale. You don't get a lot of those notes.
It smells milder though than the first one.
I'm gonna go in. I've had this beer once before, and I remember there being quite a bit of smokiness from the Chipotle.
From the Chipotle.
So
all right.
I'm hoping it didn't fall off.
Cheers.
Let's give this one a try.
Wow. I didn't think I was going to say this today twice, but that's delicious.
Yeah, that's another good one. I don't taste any off flavors, but I do think that the Chipotle has mellowed out. You don't get a big punch of the...
I can definitely taste it a little bit, though. It's there. Kind of let that set. Yeah, just really...
But I don't know if you could... I mean, it's drinking really well for being aged that long, but if you're comparing the two, I think the first one had a lot more complexity to it. You could really pick out layers and stuff would hit you in different. Like I got like dark fruit and raisins in the first one. I'm struggling to pick anything like that out in this one.
This one, I'm tasting a little bit of Chipotle. It seems not as, I don't know if full-bodied is the right way to say it.
Well, yeah.
The other one was very rich. Like it was rich. Like drinking food. Like it just really, really in your mouth here. This one is almost a lighter taste than the first one, but I'm really enjoying it. I still think red meat would be fantastic with this.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from the style. So your porters are going to be a little bit thinner than your stouts. What makes your stouts a little bit thicker is they're having to pump so much sugar into them to get the yeast to generate that much alcohol. You're not going to see that with these porters, but for as old as that beer is, I'm actually surprised that this one didn't bite the dust yet. This is, I think a lot of the chili fell off, but I'm shocked. We're batting 1,000 right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you're shocked, and I'm glad you're shocked in the direction I want to be shocked.
Yeah, it's good. It's totally drinkable. I mean,
yeah, this is
very palatable.
Yeah, and same thing. You think like a red meat, right?
Yeah, I get more coffee on this one.
Look at your notes there.
Yeah, I'm just going to make sure that it has coffee in it. It just says a complex dark ale, so that's just the toasted malts. They toast the malts to different levels, and that gives you the color and the bitterness.
Yeah, which I'm not even getting a ton of bitter.
Not a ton. It's a good beer. Okay,
yeah,
I'm happy. I'm happy with the cellar picks.
Yeah, that's fantastic picks today. When you're telling me about them, I was like, all right, well, we'll see, and everyone else will see. So speaking of bad, what are, in your experience, both personally and also just knowing within the backyard barbecue community, what do you see as the number 1, 2, 3, and you don't have to number them off, but the things that barbecue enthusiasts are most frequently getting wrong, or they're hung up on the things they shouldn't be hung up on? So kind of like advice, but what do you see?
It's a trick one because I think I've probably done all of them wrong. I would have to say the most frequent questions I get asked by friends or mostly friends, people that are just starting to get into this, is, hey, how long did you cook your brisket, or how long did you cook your chicken? They're focused on time, and I tell everybody what we do is not a time game, it's a temp game. So get your thermometer. And yes, I went cheap in the beginning. You ended up getting an expensive one because you are going, everything's by time.
By temp.
By temp. By temp.
Now, there's a little bit of a time element, right? With like when let's just use brisket as an example. There's time to have that smoke sit, right? Correct. I mean, is that kind of, a given?
Yeah, there's rule of thumbs, like how long you do something per pound. What they say, once big meats, your pork butts, your briskets get over 140 degrees, they actually don't take on any more smoke.
So you said about 140 is the threshold?
That's kind of what I've read and I've heard is the magic number.
So now Texas crutch, that's 160 is when we're wrapping?
Yeah, usually 160, 165, you'll hit, the meat will hit a stall. Because and then at that point you're wrapping it. It's just trying to break down all the proteins in the meat. So at that point you wrap it, you start to generate steam. It breaks it down a little bit faster. And
because the steam before, sorry to interrupt, the steam before you do that is cooling the meat off. Is that right?
Correct.
That's kind of the gist of it?
And it's evaporating.
Got it. So it's cooling it off and it's going away. So have you experimented with foil versus pink butcher and all that?
Yeah, I've done both. I don't really prefer one or the other. If I have to, I'm a pink butcher guy.
There, I said it.
Yeah, I said it. But I have a reason for that.
You can't just get this grocery store.
I'm actually in the paper industry, so
nice.
I have in the past made pink butcher paper.
Oh, cool. That's supposed to just let it breathe a little bit more, right? That's kind of the rationale.
But it still holds in the juices. So
holds in the juices, lets it breathe, keeps the bark a little barky.
Barky, yeah.
Barky.
Like a dog.
All right, well, what else?
So
what else?
I would say that's a big one. try new things. Like your normal home cook doesn't try new things. I have a lot of people tell me, man, you're crazy. I can't believe you did that. Try it. I mean, it might not be good. You might not, don't try to serve your family, don't try something crazy to serve your family, but on the weekend when you're watching football, try something new. The peanut butter and jelly chicken wings, give it a try. And then seasonings. I think you can either go one or two ways. You're either afraid to season your meat and you just like Montreal steak seasoning or salt, pepper, garlic. You hear people say that a lot.
SPG.
Yeah, SPG. Or they go the other way and they have something that's too salty or unedible. So play around and experiment. When I cook any piece of meat, I like to have 3 elements. I like to add complexity. I like these beers, like especially that first one where it was very layered and you could taste the chocolate and the coffee and the raisins I like to do the same thing with barbecue. So usually my first layer on any cut of meat, whether it be chicken, pork, or beef, is like an SPG. They have spicy SPGs out on the market. You can make your own. So you put that down
first?
I put it down first and I let it sit, and the meat will sweat. It'll look like it's sweating. That's good. You're actually pulling moisture out of the meat. So now when your fats render, it's going to take the place of where that water was. Then at that point, it just depends on what I'm doing. I usually like to come in with like a sweet rub, and there's sweet heat rubs.
This is all going on.
Pre-cooking, yeah.
Okay.
There's sweet heat rubs, so you could get away with the SPG and a sweet heat rub. Or then I'll do like a spicy rub at the end. So let's say I do an SPG, a sweet rub, or a sweeter rub, and then I'll come in with a hot rub that's got some heat to it. But being able to balance those flavors is key, and it's going to take a little bit of practice. But usually with your sweet rubs and your heat rubs, you're going to have a lot of the paprika and that red or orange color, and that's what's going to give your pork, your chicken, your brisket a nice color level to it. So it's also a look thing,
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. So speaking on that, with trying things that may or may not be good, where you're saying, let's make this first, but we're not going to plan on feeding the family with this. Do you come up with ideas, do them, and then you're like, this sucks, and then you just bury it?
Well, I don't know about burying it because I want it to work so bad. If it's a really good idea, I will give it another try. But yes, I have a lot of blooper reels.
So give me an example, give our viewers an example here of something that you thought was just going to be.
Man, you're going to make me tell the story, aren't you?
Yeah, come on, let's hear it. We're here.
I got a beef shank,
okay,
and it was fat, and it was about a foot tall, had the bone marrow still in the bone, and they cut it where, like Thor's hammer. You ever seen people cook those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they usually put it on a bed of like macaroni and cheese, and they take a fork and just shred the meat into it. Yeah, so I got one, seasoned it up. I think I cooked it on the big green egg.
This is a Thor's hammer.
Thor's hammer.
Okay, and which just describe it real quick for everyone.
Yeah, it's a beef shank that they French the bone, so I would say half of it is just bones sticking out, okay, and then there's a big ball of meat.
Okay.
And beef shank is tough. It's tender. It needs to be rendered down, slow cooked, braised. And I was excited to do this one. And
put it on the big green egg.
Put it on the big green egg. Got some smoke to it. I think I seasoned it was just salt, pepper, garlic, nothing crazy. But like my brisket rub, so like coarse black pepper, coarse salt, granulated garlic. And I seasoned it. I got some beautiful shots of it on there. The bone marrow was starting to cook and is bubbling at the top of the bone. So I got some really good footage, some really good video. My intro was awesome because I was swinging it like, Thor's hammer.
You got to.
It was great.
Yeah.
So I get this thing out, and then I wrap it in foil because I'm going to braise it to Texas crutch, and I put some juices in there. And
so how long and what was the temperature before you Texas crutched it?
I think it probably was right there around the 160, 165
couple
mark.
Hours.
Yeah, it was a couple hours because, like I said, it's a big piece of meat, but it's not like you're doing a pork butter brisket because there's a bone in there. So it's maybe like 2 inches around the bone.
Okay.
So at that point, I Texas crutched it, put it back on, and I'm like, okay, this thing's going to be perfect. Pulled it out. I let it rest 3 to 4 hours. I was busy doing something, let it rest. It was still warm, and I went to go just stick a fork in it. Or actually, I think I stuck my temperature probe in it, and I'm like, this is not there yet.
So it's like 180, 190 or whatever.
I think it was closer to like 200, but it just wasn't. It was tough.
It was tough. And your sweet spot's 205 to 207, and it needs to pull out easy?
Yeah, and that goes into the whole feeling your barbecue. It's not about always the number that's on the screen.
How it feels, right?
You know, the bend test on your ribs, or does the probe feel like, you know, you're putting it into a jar of peanut butter?
Right.
You know, that's just comes with experience. So I took this Thor's hammer, and it was beautiful, and I had some really good footage. And I was so excited about this video. I had mac and cheese already ready for it, and it just wasn't there. So I called an audible, and I put it in the fridge for the night, still wrapped up, and the next day I brought it out.
So let me pause you. So you let it rest.
Let it rest.
And then still resting, you put it in the fridge.
Yeah, but it was like midnight at this time.
And that should be good. Like that's a sanctioned way of.
Yeah, it's food safe at that point.
No, I mean not the food safe,
no,
but you're not going to mess up like how it's going to taste or anything.
No.
Oh, okay.
But you know, the concern you were up against, you know, it's like midnight. I'm trying to make this video, but then you get up against the food safe stuff. So, you know, 140, I was trying to get in the fridge. At that point, you either got to go up in temperature or try to get it cool down
quickly. Yeah.
And so I just got a new sous vide and played around with it a couple times and had some really good luck with some different things. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this thing, and in the morning I'm going to take it out. I'm going to vacuum seal it, and I'm going to cook this thing in the sous vide because it's going to be fall off the bone tender. And I think I had it like at 170 or 180 in the sous vide for 6 or 8 hours. You know, mac and cheese now is a day old, but it still looks good. It's going to make a pretty good video. Go to pull this thing out. It felt more tender than what it was the day before.
And you're just licking your chops.
Yeah, my brother-in-law
Here we go.
Yeah, my brother-in-law does a lot of my camera work for me at the house, either that or a tripod. And I go to make this video, and halfway through it doesn't pull off the bone. I'm like,
oh no!
And this thing sucks.
Oh no!
So yeah,
what did it taste like?
It tasted all right, but it was so tough. It would never really rendered out.
Was it not a good cut, you think, or?
I think the cut was good. I think that's just such a hard. That's a really hard piece to cook. So yes, I will give that another try.
Yeah.
One more time. If I don't nail it, then I'm done.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go.
But yeah, there's other stuff that you pick it up and you taste it and you're like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna put my name on this.
Yeah. No, exactly. Because if someone is following along, you don't want them to do that, and then you're like, I made this brisket the way you said, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. All right, we got time for our last sauce here. This is the King of Sting by Bear River Bottling. My friends out in Utah, they do a lot of boutique sauces and kind of specialty stuff. Another one of my favorites. The ingredients here that are important to note: honey, bacon, and scorpion pepper.
I like the bacon.
So yeah, we've done kind of the full range here. We started with kind of a mild, medium honey. Now we're getting to a hotter one. All right, I'm doing enough talking. Let's do some eating.
One last orange.
Last orange one. That's all
there
you.
Go.
I'm gonna go purple this time.
The bacon. That sounds so interesting. Oh, look at.
Oh, you're sauced up.
It's the hottest one, and he just loaded it up.
Yeah, we're loading it up, fam. Here we go. Cheers. And get the honey, the bacon, and you're like, this isn't going to be too bad. And then it kind of creeps up on you a little bit.
Yeah, it's got that slow burn. I get the bacon, I think, through the smokiness. You know, I don't think, obviously, I just taste like biting on a piece of bacon. Yeah, you scared me again with this one, with the scorpion. I've had some scorpion stuff, and it's just...
You can't do it, yeah. No, this one's great, and a lot of, especially what Bear River does, a lot of their sauces are really emphasis on being flavor forward and not so much heat. And that's one of the things I love about this is, you know, they have it listed on here as a extra hot, which for a lot of people, I think it would fall into that category. But once again, like we've been saying all day, you know, you put that on a food, rice, mix it in with that, and all of a sudden it's going to mellow. There are the hiccups. Mellow out that heat.
Yeah, I might have to get some of that. That would be good on a fat breakfast burrito. Scrambled eggs, cheese, bacon, sausage, hit it with some of that. You get that heat, you get that smoke. That'd be, it's just really well balanced. Again, there you go. You scared me with the, the Scorpion extra hot, and actually it's very well balanced again. So
yeah,
I think we had 3 really well balanced sauces, two
great beers.
Great beers, like
we lucked out.
And you scared me a little bit. I was nervous about that last one, but
yeah, no, I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah.
So what's kind of, before we wrap up here, do you think the biggest challenge with, I think it's really amazing when you can do a video that's talking about food, which obviously food is big taste, like because you eat food, obviously. What are the biggest challenges when you're creating a video and how you articulate that to a viewer that can't, obviously, you have thousands of followers, they can't taste your food that you made? Like, how do you approach that, and what's challenging about making those videos to make them work?
When smell-o-vision's not working?
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess the hardest part is coming up with content that, first of all, you enjoy making, but viewers love to watch, and then describing the taste of the food. I mean, the process is the process, and because most of my stuff's on Instagram, it's a 90-second reel. There's a lot of stuff that you don't show, chopping the vegetables and lighting the fire, stuff like that. But I think just having the enthusiasm with the review at the end, or the reveal, or that bite, is really important, because it's hard to describe the flavors to somebody who's not eating it. And just like the hot sauces and the beers today, there's so many people who have different palates that aren't going to appreciate it, or it's not up their alley.
Yeah.
So articulating the flavor is probably the hardest part that I have trouble with.
Right.
So,
because you just bite, you're like, oh, this is so good, it's juicy, and it's everything I want it to be. And people are like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So anyone getting into barbecue and cooking, and I think I already know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. What do you recommend for the backyard barbecuer that wants to go from hot dogs and hamburgers to briskets and Thor's hammers?
Yeah. Try new things, have fun, experiment.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's about all that you can do.
Yeah. No.
But try new things. Don't be afraid of new things.
I love that. What is coming up for you in 2024?
2024, I'm just really having fun doing what I'm doing now. Playing around with some hot sauces. I don't know where that will go. Maybe it'll just be a friends and family thing. Maybe you'll see one on a shelf somewhere.
Great. Yeah.
I'm toying around with the idea of a cookbook. I'm saving some recipes. I grew up in Iowa. I moved to Phoenix. Lived in Texas, Chicago, now Florida. So I kind of want to tell a story. Like, I have a storytelling cookbook and really focus on the different regions that I've lived in.
I love that.
Sometimes I meld them together. Sometimes it doesn't work. But, you got your different regions. I think that'd be kind of cool. And just kind of keep creating content and having fun. I love it because I'm having fun.
Yeah, that's the best part. And people can see your excitement and joy. And I think going back to what I asked about how to articulate something is so delicious, and whatever you're seeing you excited about that gets other people excited about that, which is a perfect way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last thing, where's the best place for people to follow along with what you're doing?
Yeah, right now, Instagram, blood.smoke.beers_barbecue.
We'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Facebook, a little bit of TikTok.
Okay.
And working on some YouTube stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. Can't wait to see it. So, well, Zach, thank you for coming out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we'll get together again soon.
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you. Thanks for listening to The Hot Sauce Show. Be sure to follow us here and on socials to stay up to date on future episodes.